We love horror movies over here at Top 5 Scary. Of course we do, as do you. However, pause your movie and take a moment to peruse the horror section of a bookshop in search for the original novels behind some of your favorite scary movies, because I can promise you some are far more terrifying than anything you will ever see on screen. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary horror books better than the movie. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at 5, The Exorcist. The Exorcist is a 1971 horror novel by William Peter Blatty, in which he details the demonic possession of 11-year-old Regan McNeil, the daughter of a famous actress, and the two priests who attempt to exorcise the demon. The novel was inspired by a 1949 case of a demonic possession and exorcism that Blatty heard about while he was a student in the class of 1950 at Georgetown University. As a result of this, the novel takes place in Washington, D.C. near the campus of Georgetown University. As we all well know, the novel was adapted into a movie of the same name in 1973, directed by William Friedkin, starring Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, Lee J. Cobb, Jack McGowan, Jason Miller, and Linda Blair. Both versions are utterly petrifying and of course controversial. However, what sets the novel apart from the movie is its unique ability to hold the audience captive through the plot, which causes readers to examine faith, fear, and religion. Saying that though, I don't think anything is quite as terrifying as the visual of Regan impaling herself on a crucifix. That moment still haunts me to this day. Bonus, I met Linda Blair once. She was not nice. She was not nice at all, and she refused to talk about The Exorcist. I'll never forget it. Coming in at 4, The Shining. The Shining is a horror novel by the one and only Stephen King, published back in 1977. It is King's third published novel and first hardback bestseller. The success of the novel firmly established King as a preeminent author in the horror genre. Now, some may not know this, but the setting and characters are influenced by King's personal experiences, including both his visit to the Stanley Hotel in 1974 and his recovery from alcoholism. The novel was of course later adapted into a 1980 film of the same name directed by Stanley Kubrick. The novel centers on Jack Torrance, an aspiring writer and recovering alcoholic who accepts a position as the off-season caretaker of the historic Overlook Hotel in the Colorado Rockies. His family accompanies him on the job, including his son Danny, who possesses the Shining, an array of psychic abilities which allows him to see the hotel's dark past. Soon after a winter storm leaves them snowbound, the supernatural forces inhabiting the hotel influence Jack's sanity, leaving his wife and son in terrible danger. In The Shining, King has created quite honestly the perfect spine-tingling scenario with all the right elements: a haunted hotel, harsh weather, and a terrifying main character. As we know, the movie is absolutely terrifying and remains one of the greatest horror movies in history. However, the novel is able to go deeper into the backstories and details that the film was unable to cover due to time constraints. If you have yet to read it, get on that immediately. Coming in at 3, The Silence of the Lambs. The Silence of the Lambs is a psychological horror written by Thomas Harris back in 1988, and is the sequel to Harris's 1981 novel, Red Dragon. Both novels tell the story of the cannibalistic serial killer Dr. Hannibal Lecter. This time, however, he is pitted against FBI Special Agent Clarice Starling. The novel was of course adapted by Jonathan Demme in 1991, starring Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster, and was a box office success, receiving critical acclaim. Back to the novel though. The novel was a huge success, with Craig Brown from the Mail on Sunday writing, I quote, "No thriller writer is better attuned than Thomas Harris to the rhythms of suspense. No horror writer is more adept at making the stomach churn. The book depicts Lecter as more fun when tormenting the innocent Starling instead of aiding her with the investigation. It is an intense ride from start to finish and far more thrilling than the movie, which is quite an accomplishment. However, though a critical success, it did receive a large amount of backlash from some critics and transgender activists, who decreed the novel as transphobic and homophobic because of its portrayal of Buffalo Bill. And because of this, there were protests against the film version when it was released. Although, it still went on to win an Academy Award. Someone won an Academy Award, I think. Coming in at number 2, Let the Right One In. Let the Right One In is a 2004 vampire fiction novel by Swedish author John Lindqvist. The story centers on the relationship between a 12-year-old boy, Oscar, and a centuries-old vampire child named Ellie. The book focuses on the darker side of humanity, dealing with thematically heavier issues such as existential anxiety, social isolation, fatherlessness, divorce, alcoholism, school bullying, pedophilia, genital mutilation, mutilation, self-mutilation, and even murder. The book was an instant bestseller and was translated into several languages, including English. Now, the title itself actually refers to the Morrissey song Let the Right One Slip In. It is a play on the concept in vampire folklore, which says that vampires cannot enter a home unless invited. In 2008, the novel was adapted into a movie of the same name, directed by Thomas Alfredson, with Swedish critics praising the film, even ranking it as 15th in Empire magazine's 2010 list of the 100 best films of the world's cinema. The novel creates a macabre tone that is incredibly well written and is far more darker than any adaptation that followed. It also includes a handful of details that make the story utterly bone-chilling, and at times difficult to read, almost unreadable. There are moments I would even like to forget. Now, while the original movie is absolutely genius, horrifying, and an instant classic, nothing could possibly touch the book, which is at times god level. Quote me. And finally, coming in at number 1, Psycho. It may come as a surprise to most of you, as it did me, but Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is actually based on a 1959 novel of the same name by author Robert Bloch. The novel, of course, tells the story of Norman Bates, caretaker at an isolated motel who struggles under his domineering mother and in turn becomes embroiled in a series of murders. The story was then adapted a year later by Hitchcock in Psycho, and was loosely adapted into the Bates Motel television series from 2013 to 2017. As most will know, in November 1957, 2 years before Psycho was first published, Ed Gein was arrested in his hometown of Plainfield, Wisconsin, for the murders of 2 women. When police searched his home, they found furniture, silverware, and clothing made out of human skin and body parts. Psychiatrists examining him theorized that he was trying to make a woman's suit to wear so he could pretend to be his dead mother, whom neighbors described as a Puritan who dominated her son. This, of course, loosely inspired the events of Psycho. Bloch uses suspense and psychological thrills to absolutely terrify readers, with the novel consisting of more internal dialogue than the film, giving a bigger glimpse into the mind of Norman Bates. The film seems to gloss over these important aspects of the novel, pulling the classic Hollywood move. Do you know, Bloch received less than $10,000 for the screen rights to Psycho, with the author unaware that Alfred Hitchcock was the person purchasing the rights. As you would imagine, this didn't sit well with Bloch, and he had no involvement in the making of the movie. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any scary horror books that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, Top 5 Terrifying Places in Literature Part 4. Daniel Loudon said, Queen Lucy is the best. I know I'm the best. That's why I'm the queen. Bless up. Locke the Fox said, as always, the most terrifying place on earth is the dark, twisted recesses of Lucy's mind. Hashtag Lucifer. You have no idea what's going on in my mind, but it's pretty bleak. And I can't say any more than that. Enjoy. Liam Wagner said, Lucy, the SCP queen that will never be caught. Ain't that the truth? You can't catch me. I can't be contained. I am all. Betty Moses said, another fantastic video. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. Thank you very much for watching. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later. I can't remember which one it is. They yelled at me last time. Lindqvist. By John Lindqvist. By
Lindquist.
Lindquist? I can't tell when you're being serious. Lindquist. By Swedish author John Lindqvist. Lindqvist. I don't know, it doesn't sound right. And finally coming in and wonderful. Now you can add this to the bloopers. Well, we're doing wonderful. Wonderful. Chris is wonderful. Just about 11. Still got outro and comments.